Hello everyone, my name is Adu and this is Ready Go Expats. If you've watched other videos in my channel, you probably noticed that there are many videos about living in China. That is because I spent nearly 5 years living in China, but then in 2020, I decided to leave China for good. Why? Well, this is what I'm gonna share in this video. Ready? Go. So for those of you who don't know me, I've been working as an English teacher for 18 years now, but then in 2015, I had been working for 13 years, just over 13 years, as an English teacher in Brazil. At that time, I was an academic director of a school, an English school, where we taught kids, teens, and adults. So English teaching has been my career for nearly 20 years. And then I was not that happy in Brazil, and I wanted to move abroad. I've traveled quite a lot to Europe, South America, North America. So, I mean, I love Europe. I know that I'm gonna end up in Europe sometime, you know, because I've traveled a lot there and I love just the culture, I love the way of living, the lifestyle. So I knew I was gonna end up in Europe. But then I had never been to Asia before, you know, and we hear a lot about, you know, Korea, China, Japan, Thailand, but I had never been there before. So because I knew I was gonna settle down in Europe eventually, I was like, I want 2 years, you know, 2 years of an adventure in Asia so that I could travel around. But then the reason why I decided to go to China, actually there were 2 big reasons. Number one, it's because it's the world's largest market for English language teachers. And number 2, because, you know, we hear a lot about China and it's been for the last 20, 30 years, this global economic hub, you know? So we've been hearing a lot about it. And as much as we watch the news, we, you know, watch YouTube channels about life in China, I think it's different when you move there and actually see it for yourself. And that's what I wanted to do. So I applied for jobs in China. I got accepted into 3 jobs and I decided to move to Qingdao, to this school called Premier English. I spent 1 year in Qingdao, that was in August 2015. And then I worked with kids, teenagers, adults. And the interesting thing about Qingdao is that there is a large community of Korean citizens there. So my students were like 60 to 70% Chinese, but the other 30 to 40% were from Korea, and like kids, teens, and adults. So I worked there for a year with a group of 9 other foreigners, and also 50% of the staff were from China as well. So I worked there. It was an amazing experience. My first year in China. Qingdao is in Shandong province, which is a very wealthy province in China. And it's not very far. It's like 1 hour and something by plane from Beijing, Shanghai, and Seoul in Korea. So it was great there. But then in March 2016, I had to decide if I was gonna stay there 1 more year or move somewhere else. And because my initial plan was to get to know China really well, and China is so big, I was like, I want to spend 1 year in the north and 1 year in the south. So I decided to move somewhere else. I applied for 3 jobs and I got into 2 jobs. One was near Shanghai on the coast, and the other in Zhejiang province, if I'm not mistaken. And the other one was in Nanchang, the capital of Jiangxi province. That area there on the coast near Shanghai is quite wealthy as well. So I decided to go somewhere like Jiangxi province is not one of the wealthiest provinces in China. Nanchang is not one of the wealthiest cities. But I thought that the job was very interesting because at that, I moved there in 2016, August, and I worked with international students, so teenagers who were going to move abroad for university, mainly in the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, okay, in Ireland. So I moved there, started working there. The pay was about the same. The hours were less, fewer hours. And then after working there for a year, I was like, okay, so now I can, you know, move to Europe and leave China. But then I really got into like Chinese culture. I made a lot of friends from China, from foreigners as well. I really liked the job, you know, because I had never done this before, you know, working with teenagers who are gonna go abroad, you know, helping them pass the TOEFL exam, IELTS, applying for universities. So I was gonna renew my contract for a 3rd year when I actually got an offer to work in Fuzhou, the Fuzhou, also in Jiangxi province, which is about 100 kilometers from Nanchang, 45 minutes by train, high-speed train. And I got a really nice offer, like I would get double my salary. So I decided to go there. It's a very small city, like in the interior, and small for China because it had like almost 1 million people living there. But it was a small city, very small expat community, but I could go back to Nanchang for the weekend to see my friends. So I started working there. I was a teacher and the coordinator of the English program in this city. And that's where I spent, my contract was for 2 years. So I spent 2017, and then 2018, I had to decide what I was gonna do. And that's when I decided to stay 1 more year. So I stayed there for 1 more year. And then in December 2019, when I started this channel, I told my boss, listen, I think it's about time for me to leave. So in July 2020, I want to, leave this job and leave China and move somewhere else, probably to Europe. I told him, he was fine with it. That's great. And then January 2020, I left China only for 3 weeks. I had 3 weeks off because of the Chinese New Year. So I left China, went to Brazil to visit my family, and that's when the pandemic started, and you know what happened. So I couldn't go back to China as I had planned. My lessons were online. My kids couldn't go to school as well in China, so I taught them online from February till July, and that's when I ended my contract. So I wasn't able to go back to China because of the pandemic. And I actually have many friends, foreigners who were living in China who were in the same situation. I have 4 friends who are actually in Malaysia. They're still there now. And they left again for the Chinese New Year and couldn't go back. I have friends who, yes, could still go back because they went back like around March, February, March 2020. But I have also other friends who went back to the US to visit their families and couldn't go back. So I'm still in Brazil actually now as I'm recording this. And I've been here for over a year now. Now it's it's March 2021. So it's been over a year now that I'm here. And I couldn't go back to China. Now the sad part is that I couldn't get my suitcase. So imagine you had your whole apartment, your whole life for nearly 5 years, and you couldn't pack your stuff. So what happened was I had to ask for a Chinese friend to go to my apartment. He got the key with one of the staff members from the school. He opened the door and he was with his phone like filming everything. So he went to my bedroom and I said, okay, please open the wardrobe, get this, you don't need to get that, and pack everything. So he packed everything I had in 1 suitcase and 1 backpack. Almost 5 years of life there. I couldn't say goodbye to my students. I said goodbye online, on WeChat and on Zoom. I couldn't say goodbye to my friends. And then again, as I said, a lot of my friends are not in China anymore, but still I couldn't say goodbye to the places that I love, the places I used to hang out. So it was quite traumatic, I'd say, that I couldn't say goodbye to them. And I'm still here because I couldn't move to Europe or do anything else because of this whole situation happening in the world. So I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do in 2021, what I'm gonna do in 2022. I don't know when this is all gonna be over, hopefully very soon. But yeah, that's why I couldn't go back to China. Do I still wanna go back to China? Definitely. I don't think I'm gonna go there to work again and to live again. Because I had decided already, as I said, to leave in 2020. But I definitely want to go back to visit my friends, to visit some of my students who are still there who couldn't go and move to the US or move to Australia and England. So I still want to go there and actually say goodbye to everyone. My suitcase is with a friend who is from Brazil and she lives there in China. So when I'm gonna get it, I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna make a video here in the channel showing when I finally get my suitcase with my stuff. But yeah, that's basically my story. I know other people who left China in 2020 because of the pandemic. I know people who left China and couldn't go back, like students as well, international students. So if you know any stories, or if you are someone who left China in 2020 due to the pandemic or for another reason and want to share your story, please leave a comment below. What about you? How has the pandemic changed your life in 2020 and 2021? please leave a comment below and make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.